Here's the deal for today's video. I'm gonna lay some perspective down on the table and you guys, you just soak it up, okay? That's your only job. After all the hair tips and tricks and hairstyle tutorial videos that I've done, how many of you guys still can't figure out why you're not getting the hairstyle that you want? Maybe you go in for a haircut based off of a photo, you know, you're like, here's the photo, this is what I want, but the outcome isn't exactly, doesn't live up to the expectation that you had. Now, perhaps it's your hairstylist's fault, maybe they're not super skilled, but more often than not, and what's more likely, it actually falls more on you. And always remember, no matter what hair type or style you're going for, BluMaan has a product that can take your hair to the next level. BluMaan.com, it's in the description of this video. If you're looking to take your hair game if you're looking for your next product to up your hair game, BluMaan.com is the place to be. Got it linked down below. So the inspiration for today's video actually came from the last video that I posted where I went the shortest that I have ever gone. This is now what, like 2 weeks from that video? I think a great place to start whenever you're getting a new haircut or a new hairstyle for the first time is to have a reference photo to show your hairstylist. You're like, I'm trying to switch things up. This is roughly what I'm trying to do. Now, before I show you guys the reference photo that I used, I want to show you guys the actual result of that short haircut. Without comparing to the photo that I used, I'm guessing you think the cut looks pretty clean, right? It's a nice skin fade, it's blended well. It's a simple short cut up top with some texture. I mean, it's a clean haircut, so it must be exactly what I was expecting, right? Well, now that you've seen that, I want to show you the reference photo that I started with. It's this one right here, and before we go further, I want to know about your initial reaction. Do you feel that the finish style that I got looks like this? Is it kind of close? Does it look really different? Can you see the resemblance, but not quite sure what's off or what's different? Now, this takes me to the main point of this video. It's the importance of paying attention to the nuance of hairstyles and hair types and setting expectations for yourself when you're trying out new hairstyles, especially for the first time. So let's break down my photo example versus the finished result that I actually got. Because I think that, yeah, maybe even though these two photos look a little different, I got exactly what I asked for. Let me explain. First of all, check out the difference between our forehead size. This dude has a tiny forehead with a fairly low hairline. My forehead, on the other hand, is actually pretty big, and my hairline towards both corners goes back quite a bit further than Mr. Small Forehead over here. And this is actually more clearly obvious when I wear my hair back, like in this example right here. You can see my hairline is simply higher up. And whenever I wear my hair like this, people always think that I'm receding, but it's just literally me wearing my hair back versus forward. And yeah, my hairline is just a little higher. That's just genetics right there. And it was a limitation that Byron, the stylist, had to consider when he was trying to take inspiration from my photo example and translate it to my own head. Second, it's a little hard to tell, but I've got a cowlick on the front right of my head right here, which makes my hair kind of curl up and it just sticks up in a different direction, making it hard to replicate the even result from the other dude. So before kind of considering any of this, you know, I saw my finished hairstyle. I thought that it looked pretty good, but I was like, it doesn't look, it doesn't match exactly the expectation of the photo that I had. The thing is though, to any of you guys who didn't know the reference that my perception was based off of, the finished result probably just looked like a nice, simple, clean cut. My whole point here is that you have the most perspective over your own hair and how it looks, more than anyone else. So the next time that you go in for a haircut based off of a reference photo or a kind of a finished image that you have in your mind and it doesn't look quite right, understand that each person will rock a general version of a hairstyle in a personalized you way. And that should actually be seen as a good thing. But this brings me to perspective shift number 2. Too often people try too hard to replicate a hairstyle that they like exactly, not taking into account their own hair type or hair texture or face shape, which is something that not enough people understand the importance of, is your own face shape and how your hair works with your face. Your best move is to find inspiration of a hairstyle you like, then allow that hairstyle to grow into your own with all your little hair's quirks and behaviors, and everyone just has something different going on the top of their head. Find the inspiration and then allow it to be molded to you. You need to set yourself up to maximize your own hair's potential rather than piggybacking off of someone's maximized hair potential. Does that kind of make sense? I remember when I was younger and still fairly naive when it comes to just general hair information, I'd always see hairstyles like these and think, man, these just look so sick. I really want to try this out. At the time though, I didn't have a good understanding on the difference between hair texture. The key difference being all these pictures that you see here are thinner hair types. Like they've still got a lot of hair, but their hair type itself is thinner versus my very thick hair type. It was quite the learning process for me to figure out the right length of hair that I needed to actually successfully pull off like a messy slick back, for example. And spoiler alert, people with thicker hair, your hair needs to be generally longer. Take this example right here comparing Dre Drexler's hair and my hair. In these videos, which I'll link to both of them below for anyone interested, he styles his hair in a slick back, and honestly, it looks pretty effortless for the finished result. Notice compared to my hair, Dre's is much shorter and still able to achieve the result that he's after, kind of that slick back, which is what I'm going for as well. My hair needs much more length to get a decent slick back to be like even slightly comparable. Also, the process for Dre to get there is pretty straightforward compared to my tutorial, which is much more complicated because it had to be for me and my hair type. So even though both Dre and I are showing you versions of the same hairstyle, they still look really different because our hair types fall heavily on the opposite end of the spectrum. Both slick backs, just very different versions of the slick back. And this was the best way that I could explain that you can rock most hairstyles that you want. You just have to allow those hairstyles to fall into your own. Taking inspiration, but not trying to replicate exactly. You gotta maximize your own hair's potential, not piggyback after someone else's maximized potential. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I provided a little bit of perspective for you today. We'll see how long these uploads keep going. We're still working on the salon stuff. I will have updates for you along the way when it makes the most sense to do so, and I'll see you next time.